friends. I'm still in recovery mode. Still a little out of it and a little in it, all at the same time. All I can tell you is this. Man, what's up? Having a rough fantasy football week. My running back couldn't make it no more. I knew it. He was limited and hurt. And then they really ain't playing the backup the way they should. Now he's in the game. He was my insurance policy. Then they gonna start him, and that just threw it up. And I don't know what's going on with the quarterback. Sam Darnold can't get the ball to Rodney Anderson. But anyway, that's not why we're here. Oh, it wasn't just that. They changed directions on what was promised to him when he signed on to play it. Now, here's the situation. When Terrence Howard signed his original contract, and when they did Iron Man, they said if the movie hit a certain benchmark mark, they were going to do a sequel. And based on the sequel, the character, Rhodey, was going to have a spinoff. He was going to have his own spinoff 3 movies. War Machine. That was the kicker. War Machine was going to have his spinoff. No, that was what was projected. His team said, well, the War Machine character, should have his own. It was going to be his own show, and it was going to show his. And what they did was a terrible integration into turning him into Iron Patriot. But Iron Patriot was going to be, you're going to see the story behind it, and Hammer was going to be the guy he was going against. See, Hammer was supposed to return, and he had all this new tech and everything else, and that was supposed to be the series, because he was now working with international terrorists and all this stuff, and they were trying to get Hammer tech after the display that they did at the end of part 2. That was going to lead to a War Machine series where Hammer is working illegally with them, as he has been barred from any type of activity, government contracts, and everything else. So he went on the blacklist, and no one can find Hammer. That's what was the original thing, and Hammer's been working behind the scenes, improving people's tech. And anybody that hates Iron Man. And Iron Man was never to appear in these movies with Terrence Howard. He had never agreed to do any of these films. And Terrence Howard didn't want Robert Downey Jr. in the movies. He was like, the same way they have Iron Man doing something else, War Machine can do his own thing and have his own movies. But Marvel at that time wasn't keen on a black superhero doing any damn thing. Back in 2008. They wasn't woke yet. So War Machine was just to be Tony Stark's sidekick for the movie. But Terrence Howard had somehow negotiated this into his original contract. But they found a way out of his contract so that he would not be in the second one, where they can just write him out completely. And he had what he thought was a guaranteed contract, but it wasn't. So Terrence Howard lost hundreds of millions of dollars. He's still upset with Don Cheadle, and he's still upset with Marvel. Some fans tried to give him credit when they did the Iron Man, and when Iron Man passed away and all that stuff, and they was replaying it. Somebody had the Iron Man thing there, and they had the Iron Man mask, and everybody was signing it because Iron Man had just passed, and he would not sign one with Iron Man, but he'll sign one with War Machine. And then he had the original War Machine. That's the one he'll sign. Marvel tried to make him look bad. Marvel/Disney tried to make him look bad by paying some of these these beat writers to write a story about how Terrence Howard physically wouldn't be in shape to play Rhodey. You got to understand, it's a lot of physical requirements to play the role, as if Terrence Howard couldn't get in shape. It was insulting to him to think that he could get in shape to play a character that's going to be in a costume. They got the best trainers in Hollywood. It was like the best trainers in Hollywood. And you mean to tell me that I can't get in for a movie role? The thing about it is, already starting his physical training to play Rhodey for the sequel. Well, he's mad at Don Cheadle too, because he felt Don Cheadle should have turned the movie role down. As a black man knowing what's going on, that ain't good enough to say, I didn't know what was going on. I thought he left. That was his thing, And me and him don't really know who we are, like we don't even know who's who, we don't know each other like that. Like, I know of Terrence, but I don't know him. That ain't good enough. That was the first thing he came with, was we don't know each other like that, and it ain't good enough. That's why Terrence said that's unacceptable. As black actors, we gotta know. He's like, we supposed to rally around each other and say, hey, you ain't gonna do our brother like that. Period. Even if you don't know him, I'm a black man. That's the way we move. And as long as they're, and that's how Robert Downey Jr. felt, Don Cheadle was his buddy. So he got Don the role. and got him in there as Rhodey. And now Don Cheadle has made a ton of money, and Don Cheadle was great as Rhodey. But how big would Don Cheadle have been if he'd have had his own spinoff? Marvel's reasoning for the War Machine not getting his own spinoff at the time was because they didn't see it as feasible. Disney did not see an all-black superhero and War Machine that you've seen in Iron Man and Iron Man 2, where he had a feature side by side with Tony, being able to lead his own film, which he would have, but they felt Captain America was the way to go. Got to get Cap in there. You can build the Avengers now. The Avengers are supposed to be one movie, just to do it, and everybody go back to their own series. That's why it's such a gap between Iron Man 2 and 3. People forget that Iron Man 3 happened after New York. And that was the last Iron Man. It was supposed to be 3 Iron Man films, and that was that. But Robert Downey Jr.'s buddy Shane Black wrote it and directed it. That's the only reason he agreed to what they had. But the thing is, Tony became the biggest character in the Marvel Universe, which made it virtually impossible for people to understand what was going on with Robert Downey Jr.'s narcissistic behavior on set. Huge ego, huge negotiator, and Disney created their own monster. They revitalized his career, and by revitalizing his acting career as Tony Stark, they single-handedly made a mess of things. Now Tony was too big to control. He was going to control how Iron Man 3 was going to go, how it was going to look. So all the changes he made to the script, him having PTSD after what happened in New York, and him having to actually go and make things, not having his equipment, have to make things on the spot to be able to pull off missions and all that stuff. Excellent. Pieces that they added to the script that gave it some freshness to it. And that's what Robert Downey Jr. said, I'm not coming back unless we got some freshness back to the character. So he was doing basically in his new contract a movie by movie basis, which paid him a handsome amount of money because they wanted to do Avengers 2, they wanted to do Avengers 3, they wanted him for Civil War. He made all the damn money in Civil War, and he didn't have a lot of screen time to the end because they wanted to do that Captain America versus Tony. Well, I would love to see it, but it is what it is. No, Terrence Howard was supposed to get it. It was negotiated in his contract that he was, and based on that, it was going to see if they were going to do a trilogy, 3-movie part for War Machine. And that was the original script. Captain America wasn't even in a thought of a mention. Thor never was mentioned. There was never a Thor. It was War Machine, Captain America, and Iron Man. Iron Man and Captain War Machine were the ones that's supposed to have their spin-off. They were never doing another Hulk movie, they said. They say Hulk movies are too expensive to make and they don't pay off. Come on, Mason Crossbar. Yeah, well, when you do these type of things, man, you just gotta pay the people what you own, I felt that they should have at least At the bare minimum, they should have taken care of Terrence Howard. I don't think Terrence Howard should be in a position where he had to look so bad after what he brought to the character of Rhodey. His Rhodey had more of a personality, where Don Cheadle's Rhodey was more militant and bland. There was no expansion of the character whatsoever. And as they added more characters, he just became a side note. And there was nothing more to Rhodey. Even when Tony was dying at the end of Endgame, he didn't even say a word to Tony. They let Spider-Man get all the words in, and he barely knows Spider-Man. It's like, barely know you, kid. Oh, no, come on, Mr. Stark, come on, please, Mr. Stark, please, Mr. Stark. It's like, don't go, Mr. Stark, please. You can fix it, I can fix this, come on, Mr. Stark. It's like, excuse me? Can you get the F out the way so people that actually know him can say goodbye? Well, it is what it is, you know. I felt bad for Terrence, but that's just how the game goes. So, anyhow, we'll get more into this as the days play out. But just to let you know, Terrence Howard is still pissed off at Marvel. They probably don't care about it off, but still, it is what it is. And I should have been paying more attention to the road, because I need to be the hell up out of here. It's gonna drive. So, what you gonna do, brother?